The more information we receive daily, the more forgetful we become. We are bombarded with data, advice, and opinions, which we anxiously try to stockpile, but we often can't remember key information when we need it. In Building a Second Brain, productivity expert Tiago Forte explains how fixing this problem starts with one simple step: writing things down. With the techniques he teaches, you'll be able to remember things you've learned, organize the knowledge you already have, make connections and spot patterns, and most importantly, take time off work without worrying about losing progress. How it started. While he was in college, Tiago Forte's throat began hurting. The pain would not go away, and even specialized doctors did not know what was wrong with him. He started taking anti-seizure medications that helped, but clouded his mind. At 24, he could barely remember details about his daily life. One day, he decided to start writing things down. The treatments he had tried, what had worked, and how he felt about his life. He also digitized his medical records and organized them. As patterns emerged, his doctor diagnosed him with a functional voice disorder. This condition required Tiago to make multiple lifestyle changes. He did a lot of research, saw many specialists, and wrote everything down. With a better diet, meditation, and regular vocal exercises, his pain became way more manageable. His notes played a big role in seeing his condition from a different perspective and coming up with practical solutions. Digital note-taking became a big part of his life, and it allowed him to find every single piece of information he would ever need again. He started teaching people his note-taking and organization methods, and he called them his second brain system. The second brain. Everything that you need to do in life requires the input of information and knowledge, which is why you need to manage both effectively. Our brains alone aren't the ideal way to do that. Writing things down has been part of human culture for centuries. Intellectuals, such as Leonardo da Vinci, often carried what they called a commonplace book. They filled it with thoughts and facts, using it to keep up with the world around them. Today, we need to popularize the digital version of the commonplace book, which will allow us to search and sync all information for easy and fast access. This will serve as our second brain. You may already use a small part of your second brain, such as the calendar app. Think of every note you take as a building block. It may be a quote from a film or a thought you had while in a meeting. Creating a note takes minimal one-time effort, but it can be used and reformulated with others in a multitude of ways to create content, proposals, or arguments. A usual day for you might look chaotic. You wake up, your brain flooding with thoughts, and get to work. You put everything aside in order to reply to a dozen urgent emails. Once you finish dealing with everything, you can start working, but you struggle to figure out where you left off and where your post-it notes went. By the time you get yourself back on track, you are too tired to do anything productive, and you decide to postpone everything until you happen to have more time. A lot of people function this way, and this daily cycle keeps repeating itself. However, with digital note-taking, you can transform your days. With everything noted down on your phone, you can manage your thoughts. Even while driving, you can make an audio note that can be transcribed on its own. You always know where you stopped work the previous day, and you can access any idea you've had whenever you need it. This means that you will be prepared for any situation. You will be more organized, motivated, dedicated, and efficient. How it works. Your second brain is basically a perfect personal assistant, and it can do 4 main things perfectly. First, it has the ability to make your ideas concrete. Digital note-taking can turn your vague thoughts into tangible and comprehensible concepts, making them easier to work on and improve. Second, your second brain can help you make connections between seemingly separate pieces of information. When information is written down and sits next to different types of data, valuable connections and patterns will jump out at you. Third, your second brain serves as an incubator for your ideas. Our brains tend to favor recent ideas and thoughts when brainstorming, which can be limiting. With digital note-taking, you save your recent ideas and continue to have access to them long-term. Fourth, your second brain can sharpen your unique way of thinking and allow your perspectives to shine. Even if you are a charismatic and persuasive person, you cannot sell your ideas without supporting material. Your second brain allows you to strengthen your raw materials and use them correctly. There are multiple note-taking apps you can choose from. Some examples are Microsoft OneNote, Notion, and Evernote. You will use these tools to remember, connect, and create. To build your second brain, there are 4 steps you can follow. 1. Capture only the ideas that you think are relevant. 2. Organize by actionability. Group ideas together based on where you may use them in the future. 3. Distill your notes to prevent hoarding incomprehensible information. 4. Express and show your work. Utilize your notes to create new things that will have a positive impact on people. The way you do this depends on your field, but the ultimate goal is to put to good use what your second brain provides you. Capturing what resonates. Information is as important as food for our survival, and just as we watch our diets to stay healthy, we need to watch what information we choose to consume. Your second brain is the tool you will use to filter information and only keep what resonates. Taylor Swift, one of the most prominent figures in the music industry right now, is constantly taking and editing notes on her phone. She instantly writes down interesting thoughts and later constructs them into hit songs. Relevant notes include highlights and quotes from books, social media posts, voice memos, meeting recaps, inspiring pictures, and takeaways from conferences or lessons. Capturing these will allow you to start valuing more personal notes, 2 stories, realizations, memories, and even shower thoughts. Note down questions that you've always wondered about. Keeping open-ended questions accessible can kickstart your creative process. Tackle small-scale things such as how you could go to bed earlier, or bigger ones, such as how you can make better decisions. Try thinking of 12 questions, both specific and abstract, and make sure they are open-ended and could have multiple solutions. With these questions in mind, you can start filtering out information more effectively. Sometimes you may feel the urge to save an entire article or entire chapters from a book. However, you should only save the valuable pieces of information. You can do this by making sure you only save the ideas that resonate with you the most. Make sure what you are saving inspires you and is useful, personal, and surprising. Organizing for actionability. We spend a lot of time designing our environments, from the people around us to our furniture. This is because the space we are in deeply impacts how we think and feel. Your second brain is one of your environments, so you must design it meticulously. To do this, you must organize your second brain with actionability in mind. There are 4 main categories of information: projects, areas, resources, and archives. Projects are the things that you are currently working on. These are limited to the short term, and they only occupy a certain period of time, meaning that they end with a clear outcome. For example, you can have a work project such as creating a web design or a personal project, such as completing a Spanish course. Areas are things that you want to stay committed to, such as health, finances, friends, and personal growth. These have no set final outcome, but they still need to be managed. Resources are things that you may want to go back to or reference in the future. They can be things you are interested in, things you are researching, useful information, or passions. You do not need them, but they add value to your life. Finally, archives include everything that you have finished or put on hold. This is where completed or canceled projects go, as well as anything you are no longer interested in or committed to. Think of archives as a decluttering bin. Each of these categories has more specific subcategories that your notes go into. To know where a piece of information should be stored, start with projects. If it does not add anything to a current project, move on to areas. If it is not useful to an area, move on to resources. If you don't think it belongs to any of your resources, but still think that it is valuable, dump it in archives. Distilling to find the essence. Once you collect notes, you will want to put them to good use. This is where a lot of note takers get stuck. They don't know what to do with all the information they've collected. To aid with this process, your notes must have discoverability as one of their qualities. This means that it will be easy for you to immediately grasp how a piece of information can be useful. You should be able to transform your notes into an accessible form. To easily do this, you can just highlight the most crucial points using the progressive summarization technique. There are 4 layers: the initial note, the bolded parts of the note, the highlighted parts of the bolded parts, and the final executive summary. The last step is not essential, but you may want to create an executive summary that introduces any notes that you find yourself using frequently. For your summary, highlight key ideas and turn them into bullet points. With progressive summarization, important points stand out visually, and you will have successfully distilled your notes. A similar technique is present in art. One of Picasso's most famous drawings, known as Picasso's Bull, is a series of 11 images representing a step-by-step process. Picasso goes from a detailed drawing of a bull to a single continuous line silhouette of that same bull. The goal is to capture the essence of the subject by highlighting and keeping only the most important characteristics. This way, you are not only keeping the most important, but also throwing away the unnecessary. There are 3 mistakes to avoid when it comes to highlighting. First, do not over-highlight. Less is always more, and each layer of progressive summarization should at maximum be 20% of the previous layer. Second, do not highlight without a purpose in mind. Distilling takes time, and you should not do it until you know where the information may be useful to you. Do a bit of distilling every time you revisit a note. Finally, do not overthink highlighting. Look for what inspires and surprises you, and follow your intuition. Intermediate packets and expressing. On your note-taking and knowledge-seeking journey, you should not just focus on the future. You should not wait until your notes are perfect and complete before you share them or do something with them. To do this efficiently, you can divide your notes into smaller chunks, just as you would divide a tough task into smaller, easier parts. These are called intermediate packets, and they are concrete building blocks, always ready to use and reuse. Intermediate packets can contain meeting notes, research findings, brainstorming results, or action items from a call or talk. You can also use them for chunks of information that did not make it into a previous project, but could be useful in the future. Once you have a lot of intermediate packets, you will be able to get work done faster because you will only have to assemble and edit already existing information, not come up with things from scratch. Most intermediate packets are information and techniques you may already use. You must focus on noticing them and materializing them instead of getting stuck in creating them. There are multiple retrieval methods that you can use to make lost intermediate packets resurface. First, you can just use the search function in your note-taking app. It is useful when you know that what you're seeking is there somewhere. Second, you can browse, which means navigating your notes manually. This comes to us naturally and is useful when you don't know exactly what to search for. Third, there is the use of tags. These are labels you assign to your notes. For example, adding the tag "fact" to multiple notes across many folders can make it easy for you to find what you are looking for when you want to create a frequently asked questions section on your website. Your second brain is full of small and big things that will help in your creation process. It is also full of intermediate packets that are way easier to share than big, broad concepts. Collaboration is at the heart of creation, and feedback is an essential part of growing. This is why it is important to share your ideas with others and to receive input that you can feed back into your second brain, the creative process. A second brain is a way to standardize any work you do. You cannot expect to always create something from scratch. The creative process is built on timeless principles, including a loop of divergence and convergence. Divergence consists of sketches, drafts, and scattered information, while convergence is an ordered and complete structure. The first 2 steps of creating your second brain, capturing and organizing, represent the divergence process, while the final 2 steps, distilling and expressing, represent the convergence process. During your creative process, there are 3 steps that you should always consider doing. First, create an initial outline for your work. It should only include essential ideas, but should offer you easy access to other resources you may need. This will clear things up for you and guide you through your process. Second, always think of your next steps when stopping a work session. Write down ideas and details that you will work on later, as this will make tomorrow's work easier. Third, when you feel that a project is too complex for the time limit you may have set for it, dial your expectations down. You must have control over the scope of your project. This will make tasks easier to complete. Parts that you end up postponing or canceling can always be stored in your second brain for future reference. Essential habits. Your second brain requires constant maintenance. It needs to stay organized because it is a direct reflection of your first brain. This requires forming certain habits. One of them is learning the system of mise en place. This is a technique used by chefs to keep their flow going while preparing meals. They wipe down the knife after each cut and put things back in their exact spot for easy future access. This way, they do not have to stop after each meal to clean up. In fact, in a world of deadlines, the only time we have to organize is during the execution of tasks. There are 3 essential habits to maintain your flow. The first one is maintaining project checklists. This means dividing your projects into 2 essential steps: kickoff and completion. During the kickoff, you will capture all your knowledge about the project, collect all information that may need research, and put everything in one place. Then, you will create an outline for the project using the information you collected and communicate everything with all associated parties. During the completion, you will mark the project as completed, review if the goals you set were properly met, organize all relevant information you collected during the project by turning it into intermediate packets, and finally archive the project. The second habit you must develop is performing weekly and monthly reviews. During your weekly review, clear your inboxes, edit your calendar, declutter your computer desktop, reorganize the new notes you added, and finally go over your tasks for the upcoming week. During your monthly review, you must update your goals, your project list, and your responsibilities, as well as review and reprioritize your potential tasks. The third habit you must form is the ability to notice things. You must pay attention to the small thoughts that you usually brush off. They may be opportunities. You must always be ready to note things down, highlight things, connect or merge notes, and share knowledge. It is essentially acting on your note-taking impulses, improving your life. Because we have access to an infinite amount of knowledge, our job isn't to look for it. It is to know what to do with the information we have. As you start collecting notes and building your second brain, your first brain will adapt to its newfound extension. You will become less anxious about forgetfulness, and your thoughts will be automatically more organized. Your brain's job is no longer to retain as much useful information as possible. Its new job is to be able to efficiently transfer this information to your second brain. You will also slowly start doing things out of the spirit of service rather than obligation. Once your brain adapts to accessible knowledge, it will automatically want to share it. Moreover, you will start creating instead of just consuming. The power of the second brain is infinite. It allows you to create anything you want and become whoever you want to be. The structure of a second brain is not unique. Yours may look like complete chaos to someone else, but as long as it complements and enriches your first brain, then it's perfect.